Right, guys, so welcome to the Fortified Feast podcast. This is my first episode. Usually, I'd be eating a meal with my guest, but because it's the month of Ramadan and I'm observing my fast, I'm not eating. So, this is the fasted Fortified Feast, and I'm sitting with the amazing Canyon Mimbs. Canyon, how are you doing, bro?
Magnificent. No such thing as a bad day. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be the first guest on the podcast.
Thank you for coming, man. Thank you for coming. So, tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 20 years old. I reverted to Islam 15 months ago. I've been in entrepreneurship since I can remember. When I was 6 years old, selling pencils in school, 10 years old, selling stickers. So I've been doing entrepreneur stuff my entire life. I started my first company when I was 17 years old in high school, secondary school, and that was selling prisons artwork on clothing. So we'd work with a bunch of artists who are in prison. My brother's incarcerated, and then we would sell their artwork, help them raise money, whether that's for their family or whatever they want to spend it on to. Never went to college or university. I left the country immediately as I graduated high school, and then flew overseas, went to Warsaw, had no money, had nothing. I said, I'm going to make it work. I'm going homeless in a foreign country. And then I got into sales, started doing high ticket sales. And then I started my own sales company, ran that for a while, phased out of that, and got into marketing. That's the nutshell.
Wow, a lot of information. Let me process that. Wow. So, obviously a young guy, 20 years old,
Yeah.
almost half my age. You've lived a very, very exciting life for a guy your age, man. To be honest with you, like
Yeah.
it's quite inspiring. For a lot of kids watching, a lot of younger guys watching this, sorry, you've done a lot. To be honest with you, like when I was 19, 20, I don't done a percentage of that, a portion of that. I'd only kind of had fights and whatever. So they started off with your reversion to Islam. So why don't we start with that? How did that come about?
So when I started traveling around the globe with my business partners, the COO of our company was a Muslim. Keep in mind, I've never met a Muslim. I'm a young kid from the West, and normally you have negative connotations with Islam, right? For me, I just didn't know anything about it. So he was the first Muslim I ever met, and he was so different compared to everybody I've ever talked to, because I'd met a lot of people up to that point. He was so kind, he was so genuine. It was like the kind of the running meme where you can't pay for a bill when you're around a Muslim, right? Because they're going to fight you for it. So I saw that, and it intrigued me because he was completely different. He treated his mom with so much kindness. He treated his sister with so much kindness. He was a protector. And it made me want to look into the religion. So I started praying with him, right? We'd pray. We were living in Turkey at the time and just doing a little bit here. And I started to notice I really liked it, but I didn't know anything about it. I'd be like, are we going to pray? Are we going to pray? He's like, it's not time to pray yet. So he started teaching me about it. I started learning about it. And he proposed, hey, I'm going to Pakistan. Do you want to come with me? I've always been a just go with the flow. I'll figure it out. So we went to Pakistan, and that was the first real Islamic country I'd ever been into. And think about it, from the West, everybody says Pakistan is the worst place ever, right? My parents' friends were like, is Canyon going to be okay? You know, are you sure he should be going there? Like, he's fine. I go there, and within days, it was like I was the community's son. They just took me in. I wasn't in like some massive place. I was on the outskirts of Lahore in a very small community. And they just took me in like family. So I'd start praying at the mosque there. I'd start going to dinners with people. And I'd walk into the mosque with my friend, and they'd walk up and go, oh, Muslim brother, Muslim brother. And my friend would be like, no, he's not a Muslim yet. And they're like, oh, no, inshallah, he'll be a Muslim. So that went on for probably about a month. And I'd read the Quran. My friend was teaching me to pray. But at this point, it wasn't really that I was like, do I want to become a Muslim? I was kind of just there and just doing it. Like there wasn't much thought process behind that. But after some time, I started to get very interested. I was like, I feel peaceful. I feel very peaceful. So I was thinking about taking my Shahada. And after Fajr, I'd sit in the mosque and I'd be like, okay, I want to go up to the Imam and I want to tell him I want to take my Shahada. But for 2 weeks, I didn't do it. I go right there and I'm like, I want to do it. And then I wouldn't do it. And I'd get frustrated because I'd lead him like, why didn't I do it? Why didn't I do it? And one day, I'm there, I'm going to take my Shahada. And once again, I don't do it. And I leave, head home. We have an elevator to get to where we were staying. I get to the top floor of the elevator, and the power in the entire building shuts off. And the first thing that I think to do is, I might as well just pray while I'm here. So I just prayed for like 20 minutes in the elevator, in the pitch black. And after that, I saw a crack in the door and noticed even though the power was off, I still could have opened the door. I didn't even try to open it first. Instinctively, the first thing I did was, well, I might as well just pray. And then I was like, I don't believe in coincidences. I never really believe in coincidences. I'm like, I am going to go take my Shahada right now. Walked inside, opened my computer, looked up, how do you take your Shahada? Did it myself, told my friend the next day, and then we went to the mosque and made it official.
Wow. Wow, that's a beautiful story, man. Were you religious before that?
I was not religious. So I grew up, my mother's side is Mormon, very interesting religion. And then my father's side is Christian, but both my father and my mother left their religion.
Right.
So we didn't grow up atheists. We didn't grow up anything. We grew up, which kudos to my parents, they did really well. And just you do what you need to do and you find what's best. So I wasn't religious, but I had a decent understanding of the Mormon religion. And before I looked into Islam, I had looked into Christianity because I had some Christian friends. They would explain it to me. And that was like the first time I prayed. I just prayed to, I didn't know what God I was praying to. I'm like, God, just guide me in the direction that's best for me. But those were my only two religions that I had any exposure to before Islam.
So at 20 years old, I find that a lot of younger people aren't too religious in like the UK or Scotland and that, and I keep speaking about this. Do you find it common for people in your age to be finding God or even be practicing a religion?
It's a really good question. I don't feel like it's common because I feel, we'll use young men specifically. In my personal opinion, what I've seen is that they want to experience life, right? And sometimes they can view religion as a constraint on what they're allowed to do, right? You got to give up the girls, you got to give up the partying. And they look at it as a negative, right? So where I think we see a lot of older people come to religion after they've done it all, right? And they're like, I know both sides of the coin. I don't need to experience this anymore, right? And then they get guided towards religion. So for me, maybe it was, I had a little bit condensed because I was on that other side. I've been very much on the polar opposite side of religion, right? And then maybe just a lot of younger men grow up more isolated. They don't really experience much in their youth. And then when they hit 18 to 25, they just want to go experience the world. They don't care about religion. They're more focused on, the girls and the partying. That would be my assumption.
Right. I think that was more my case as well. So I grew up a Catholic, just normal upbringing, and then I did experience the partying and all that. And then when I really decided that Islam was for me, or God was for me, or our faith was for me, it's like a million times better. See, waking up in the morning and praying at 5 a.m. It's so purposeful compared to being out all night and not sleeping until 5 a.m. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Do you get much feedback online for being a white revert Muslim young guy?
Yeah, I get a lot of support from obviously more Muslim countries, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, because I think just the white Muslim is kind of it's almost a pattern break in society. It's becoming more normal now, like you see it, but it's still pretty unique. So people are very supportive, like on TikTok, when I started to get a lot of traction on TikTok, like they just pretty much just the Muslim community just like adopted me on that platform. They're like, you're our son now. But obviously on the polar opposite side, I get a lot of hate. Like I probably get 5 messages a day from people saying, you should kill yourself. And there's a really interesting lesson in there because so many people get held back from doing something they want to do. Maybe let's say religion for this example. Maybe someone does want to look into religion, but they fear the judgment of other people, and that's what stops them from doing it. When in reality, these people who message me, you should kill yourself on Instagram, they don't know me. They don't know anything about me. They don't know what I like to do. They don't know what I don't like. They're just making an assumption because it's based off an experience in their life that has nothing to do with me. And if you can understand that people are only judging you based on their past experiences, not actually who you are, It allows you to just suspend their judgment. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, why would I care about someone's opinion who does not know me? You know, if you sit me down and we spent the last day together, you know me a little bit more, and you're like, hey, I saw this, maybe you should try doing this. I'm going to give that more weight because you know who I am versus some guy who's like, oh, go back to Jesus. It's like, yeah, thanks.
Do you get that? Come back to Jesus?
Yeah, I would say it's actually, it's one of my problems with Christianity because I don't get less come back to Jesus. If someone was commenting and like, hey, come back to Jesus, it's like, cool, like that's your religion. You want me to come back to your religion? Cool. But it's more just like, you're going to burn in hell. You're going down. Like, you're doing everything wrong. That's the more messages that I get.
And you weren't even a Christian growing up?
I know. That's the funny
I don't know
thing.
you,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I get like, you betrayed your religion. I'm like, I wasn't religious.
Man, I get Jesus loves you. Come back to Jesus. You're on the wrong path. Your ancestors will be looking at you in disgust.
Yeah, I hear that one.
What is the other one? You're Scottish. You're Scottish. You're betraying your people. Now you're like, Islam is not a nation. It's not a culture. The misinformed will tie it to a nation and a culture, but it's so much above that. It's God. You know what I mean? And it's relative to you, I think. So your journey's similar journey, but it's relative. It's different for mine. My journey's my own journey as well. And religion is only like just a guide. It's the ultimate self-development guide. And it is only a guide. You know what I mean? I'm not going to wave a flag and fight with people because they practice another religion. I'm the total opposite of that. And I like the way you've been speaking with me the last few days. Like, yeah, you believe your beliefs are better for you, but I don't see you go out fighting with people and try to make sure other people realise that your beliefs are superior to theirs, which I think is really unreligious, really un-Christian, really un-Islamic. I asked you yesterday, so there's these Dawah guys or these Christian speakers on Speaker's Corner in London's a good example, and I see them just fighting, like verbalizing how better they are than each other and stuff like that. And they're obviously really intelligent, and they look into the history of the religion and whatever, which I think ends up getting taken out of context. What's your opinion on these guys?
If the sole purpose of what you're doing is trying to disprove someone else's religion, I would ask yourself, is what you're doing having a net positive on society? Because if your purpose is to spread your religion, that's great. There's a Christian influencer I see very commonly. He doesn't talk negatively about Islam. All of his content is about Christianity, how Christianity is amazing, how it's the true religion, how it can help you. I believe, regardless that I think his belief is not true, he is having a net positive impact on society. He is making people better. Now, if all of his content was about why Islam is not the truth and why this, all he's doing is creating conflict between two people who should be agreeing. I say this a lot in my content. Christians and Muslims should be working together. There's no reason we should be fighting each other. There's such horrible things going on in this world. There's so much evil that why are the two goods attacking each other, right? It's like Christians are great people, and I wish more Christians followed their book. Like, it's actually one of the things that kind of hurts me because I have one of my good friends is a really good Christian, and I have so much respect for him. Back when I was in my hometown 3 months ago, we sat down, we had a religious conversation, not a debate, a religious conversation. And it was so open-minded. Nobody got upset. Nobody tried to talk faster. Nobody tried to talk over him. He believed I was wrong. I believed he was wrong. But we had an open conversation. And I think if more people did that, we would have a higher impact. More people would find religion. The world would just be a better place. But arguing, pointing fingers, all that does is make people mad and want to repeat it, right? You end up in this upward spiral. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. And then it gets to the extremes, right? That you're going to burn in hell. It doesn't get to that level unless you constantly are disagreeing, constantly trying to prove the other person wrong. If you're nice, you're kind, you respect other people's beliefs, it's never going to get to that extreme, in my opinion.
Interesting. So you said that you believed that you're right and you believe that your friend is wrong, do you? So I believe Islam's right for me, but I also believe like a Christian that's right for him. I believe in the difference because he's going through his own relative path, and we can't all. The 8 billion people in the world can't all believe in the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, I can think in myself that he's wrong. I can think it and say, because I disagree with that, and my book says that different than that. But obviously, I think there's got to be a reason that that somebody that practices their actual religion, really, I'm talking about people that actually practice, because I practice Islam, I believe they're right for their own rightness.
Yeah.
And I'm totally against the conflict. And I think there's not enough people that speak about what you just said there. Two goods in the world. Why are they fighting? There's more other belief systems as well that are good. Every path to God's really good if you're really living a good life. That's what it is ultimately, isn't it? So I'm trying my hardest to. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm trying my hardest, especially Scotland, right, to try and get a bit of acceptance in. Not for me. I don't care what people think about me, but try and get acceptance in other beliefs because we're neighbours. In the Bible, I think it says, "Love thy neighbour as you would love yourself." Well, a Muslim is your neighbour, and you should love and respect their beliefs. And there's also obviously passages in other scriptures and texts that say that. Aye, and a lot of passages, like a lot of Quranic scriptures get taken out of context, and that's the stuff I kind of get. Like your book says this, that we have to kill the non-believers. That's a historical point, like that was happening when the Muslims were getting persecuted in Mecca. It's not talking about modern day Glasgow. You know, like you need to really understand it. So I say this analogy like I'm not an electrician. I've never spent a single second being an electrician. So I don't know how to be an electrician. I don't know nothing about it. I don't have the authority to argue with somebody and say that being an electrician is a bad thing. Do you understand what I'm saying? Some of these people haven't spent a single second in Islam. And point of view, a lot of it comes from like racist, sectarian media that's probably purposely trying to create a divide.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
100%. And we see that time and time again, and especially I think U.S. history, Islam has been portrayed very much as an evil. And a really interesting thing is, if you ask any person who comes from the U.S. and goes to a very major Islamic country, nobody ever has anything bad to say, right? It's like the media tells us this, the media tells us that. But like I went to Pakistan, I went in Saudi Arabia, the best places I've been in. Like when I was in Riyadh, Saudi, it's the cleanest city I'd ever been in. Everybody's nice. It's so safe. You can walk around in any part of that city at any time. 2 o'clock in the morning. You could be a girl walking by yourself. You'd be totally fine.
So I'll ask you a question there then. So you could maybe compare, where was it, Lahore in Pakistan you were at? Lahore in Pakistan has got a lot of different like, GDP compared to Riyadh. So Riyadh's got a lot more money. Is the safety level still the same in Lahore?
I've heard different from everybody, so I can speak on my personal experience. My personal experience, I felt very safe in Lahore. Could have been exactly where I was. I know that there are some places in Pakistan that aren't as safe, but for me, the stereotype wasn't there at all. The stereotype of like, you're a white man, you go live in Pakistan, it's gonna be horrible. Like every single person, I had no negative encounters and I went out a lot. I was all over, never had a negative encounter.
Wow.
It was actually really interesting. I tell you, if you're a tall white man and you want to see what it's like to be a celebrity, go live in Pakistan. Weirdest thing ever. People would come up to me and want to take photos. Yeah. Like they'd be like, can we get a photo?
That's amazing.
Just because I was so random. So instead of people being rude to me, it was like people trying to take photos with me. We went out one day to go see a bunch of mosques, and we went in a very populated area, and people would like have their phone, like try to take a video of me. So it's like, yeah, no one's being rude. Everyone's just like, I'm from a different world than they are, right? It's fascinating. And yeah, I felt very safe there. I never felt at any point that I was worried.
So I've heard it's super safe. Like the stereotype, well, the stereotype would be that these what people say in the UK, right? Because like in immigration, there's a soft border in the UK, right? And a lot of people come from these war-torn countries like Afghanistan and stuff like that, whatever. And they say they're bringing in these negative effects from their country and bringing them into Western civilization and totally wrecking Western civilization. Not thinking about the other things that are already wrecking Western civilization, like drug abuse and whatever, all the stuff like that. But I've actually studied a wee bit of travel into these parts of the world. I've not been to Pakistan or Afghanistan or neighbouring countries. I've been to Turkey's probably the closest. And it's just nothing but so safe. Everybody's so welcoming. You go, you cannot pay for food, and these are poor people. Like compared to like the UK, no, you can't like go to a restaurant without like getting your meal paid for you. Everybody gives you a place to stay. So the conception that it is a dangerous part of the world maybe contributes to whoever's in the media, whoever's selling this divisive story between the religions or the cultures, or whatever. They're maybe try to make us think that it is a dangerous place. Funny story as well. I'm actually going to Pakistan in May for my first pro boxing fight in a massive a massive show over there. So I'm really, really looking forward to it, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And since I've said, obviously, about being a Muslim online, I've got a lot of guys from Pakistan saying, brother, come train with me. And all. So I'm looking forward to that, man. That'll be cool. In terms of business, do you do you see a difference with earning halal or having to keep yourself earning halal versus haram?
Yes, I think when you're wanting to make money as a Muslim, it's different, but it's not impossible. So what I've noticed is I've tried to intertwine my content with some business and some finance, because one of my longer term goals is I want to help as many Muslims as possible understand financial literacy. Not become rich, not become a millionaire, understand financial literacy, the basics of investing, right? Because so many Muslims are just uneducated on how money works on a fundamental level, right? They just don't invest any of their money. They think all investing is haram. Like, I'll post content about these are the 10 halal investments you can make. And everyone's like, oh, it's haram. Because they don't know. So a lot of me wants to actually help them, because I had to change my strategy. For example, you can 100% make wealth way faster by using debt. It's true, right? I don't use any debt, never have any debt, personal business at all. But it's still easy to make money without debt. It's just not as much of an amplifier, right? So for me, everything I do, personal income, it's all halal. When it comes to like teaching people about investing, I try to give advice, right? Because I don't have anything to sell my audience, so I just try to give them value. You know, you can buy gold, you can buy a lot of Sharia compliant stocks. You can do crowdfunding where you can invest in startups. There's a lot of places that you can put your money as a Muslim and get a return. So Bitcoin's one. I have a very large preface of this. I'm not a scholar. It's not a fatwa, but I have an opinion on Bitcoin because it's debated amongst scholars. Some people say it's not permissible. Some people say Bitcoin is permissible. Okay, so we already have a disagreement. I believe it's fine to own Bitcoin and invest in Bitcoin. And if I'm wrong, I'll take the accountability on that. Because it's a currency. Fundamentally, how currency works is we all agree something is worth a certain amount and we use it as an exchange. So the US dollar is, right? There's nothing that backs the US dollar. Bitcoin has more backing than the US dollar. So my philosophy is, if we're going to say Bitcoin is haram, then that means the US dollar is haram, which the US dollar is based on debt. So really it is. So it's like, if we're going to not allow Muslims to invest in Bitcoin, but allow them to hold any major currency, I see a contradiction there, right? And it's, in my opinion, keeping Muslims poor, when in the reality, we need more Muslims to make money. It's a very fine line, because so many Muslims come from impoverished countries where they don't know anything about money, and they assume that it's non-Islamic to be rich. Why were the Prophet's companions, peace be upon him, very wealthy, very good businessmen, many of them, right? And I look at it, it's like, if they at the time were some of the best Muslims around Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, then why all of a sudden it would, if they were now in this modern society, we look at them and say what they're doing is wrong? And without wealth and without riches, I think it's hard for Islam to grow in the correct way, right? Islam is large, but unfortunately, most Muslims are really uneducated. Like, that's a sad reality. That is true. And I want to help my piece. And I think by giving the Muslim communities more money, more wealth that we use in ways that please Allah is a net benefit, right? So it says that the poor man goes to Jannah first, right? But also says that the man, this is not 100% quoted, right? This is just context. The man who made lots of money and spent his money in ways that pleased Allah will get more rewards, right? You won't go to Jannah first, but you will get more rewards. And you think about the amount of good you can do. If the only reason you are being reluctant to investing or trying to start a business or trying to make money is because you think it's going to make you a better Muslim, I think you're living a logical fallacy. It doesn't make sense. Like, imagine if you could become a millionaire by helping other people and then spend your money helping other people, right? So there's a business, Muslim business coach. We're associates. Look forward to being good friends with him. He, very successful. He teaches people how to start businesses and make money. He has results. If you listen to his advice, you can make money. He's a millionaire through that. So he's become a halal millionaire through helping other Muslims start businesses. He donates his money to charity, right? I believe he is having more of a net positive impact on the Muslim community than the random guy who's like, no, it's bad to be rich, right? You shouldn't want money, right? And it's a super fine line. Yes, as a Muslim, you shouldn't only focus on money. That shouldn't be the only thing you want. That's a horrible frame, right? Your deen should come first. Your health should come first. Your relationships come first. But you shouldn't neglect money. I think it's ignorance to do that. And that's why I want to help more Muslims make money.
Really interesting point that. So obviously because debt's haram, there's a lot of control in the world with people that control the debt, the banking system, stuff like that. And they've got a good say in whatever, every law and policy that we live under all over the world. If Muslims gained more financial interest or power in the world, do you think that would change the conception or the perception of Muslims in the world?
I think it would. I think if we take it down to a base psychological level, non-Muslims who have a negative connotation with Islam kind of just don't respect Muslims. They kind of view them as lesser people, right? They are less educated, for the most part, less understanding of more how the world works. But if we were kind of carrying our own to say, I think the world would respect Islam more. Dubai's done it well. Dubai doesn't have everything perfect, right? Obviously, they've got things that are haram, they've got things that have been westernized, but Dubai's still an Islamic country. And people respect Dubai. You have a lot of non-Muslims there, and there's a lot of wealth there, and there's a lot of wealthy Muslims. And we've noticed, in my opinion, the last 20 years, Islam the stigma around it has changed. People don't view it as negatively. And I do think that is by having more Muslims go mainstream, more Muslims who are well-known, not as scholars, but as successful people that are Muslims as well, right? Famous people who you then find out later, oh, that person's a Muslim, right? Muhammad Ali, how many people don't know that he was a Muslim? It's like become, you see it now, everyone sees it. And I think it's those type of things when we see successful people, the non-Muslims go, oh, they're not different. They're still just people. That's what I believe.
So humility, too much humility might be holding back that perception. If people are too humble in business or achievements or whatever.
It might not be humility, because I think humility is great. And that's something I've really enjoyed learned from you, because I think I walk that fine line. I don't want to fall too to the extreme where I'm trying to push a narrative too hard, right? So I respect you a lot for that. Because humility is good. I think you need it. I think it's more just having the understanding that it's okay to be successful, right? Because what I just noticed is so many Muslims just don't think it's permissible to have wealth, don't think it's permissible to want to be successful, right? It's just that fine line of you don't put success over your deen. But I think all Muslims should want to be successful. Like, I look at this is not from any religious text that I know. This is a personal opinion that I hold. Would God rather you spend your life being poor so you can please him, or would God rather you spend your life becoming incredibly successful so you can help other people? I personally believe he'd rather you get in abundance so you can help other people. Because you can be a kind person, right? Like all of the Pakistan people I met, they were so kind. They had such a large impact on me. They completely changed my life. And they all got a lot of charity. They all got a lot of good deeds for that, right? And that is an amazing impact that they can have. But none of those people, if they wanted to, could go feed an entire civilization of people who are starving, go build 100 homes for people, right? You cannot do that without wealth. So you can be humble and still chase the wealth to be able to help the other people, right? Let's take, for example, your previous point of the war verses in the Quran that are taken out of context. When we had war and were allowed to go to battle, a lot of it was to put Islam on the map, to give us resources, right? When we were stopping the trade routes. It's a form of business, right? It was in war though. But without that, Islam would not have been able to grow. We had to go to war and we had to do business, right? Like when we did business with the Jews, it was okay. We did that because we needed money. So if we look at the history of Islam, our prophet, peace be upon him, was making large moves to get wealth for the Muslim community so the Muslim community could grow. So why do we now have a negative around people who do that when our prophet did that? Right? To me, it seems like a contradiction.
Good point, aye. My friend is like actually a Muslim and he teaches financial literacy and stuff like that. Even though he teaches that, he did say to me before that he's not really as interested in building an empire in the dunya, in this life. He's more interested in building an empire in the afterlife. And that kind of stuck with me. So maybe I've went a bit too into the humility. I don't know, but maybe no humility, but say there's like just too into the acceptance kind of period, you know what I mean? So, because I used to chase money like mad, like, and even made money in illicit ways, which is obviously not good. Neither of them are good. And that was that's probably the biggest downfall of my life, because my pride was wanting me to just get, my greed, my gluttony, all the 7 deadly sins that's in the Bible or whatever. And my biggest turning point is when I stopped that and I focused only in my deen, only in my faith. And funny enough, like, what is the phrase? When you chase the dunya, it runs away from you. But when you chase the afterlife, the dunya runs to you. And that's what's happening to me now. So although like I'm not even focused on money. I'm not even chasing all these things, but it's all coming to me. In my head, I can only say it as that's just it's better for me to do that, you know. Because if I focus on only money, I know I could end up getting greedy again, and you end up becoming that idiot that I just was ended up in prison or whatever. I'm not even talking about crime, but when I focus on being a good person, being a good family man, being a bit of a leader or a coach, or even starting a charity, which I'm doing now, I feel abundant because I feel like a billionaire. Although it's not money, although I've not got £1 billion in my bank, I've got an amazing family, amazing friends. I'm super healthy. I'm doing the life that I'd always wanted to live over the last 15 odd years. So I feel like a billionaire already. So it's not really just money for me, do you know? And see, when you said like you can spend money to help, you can also do that without money.
Yeah.
And in your small your small universe, like in your city or your town or whatever. So I can help people with teaching them for free, or I can help people with speaking to them, giving free advice, or just smiling with somebody, man. It makes their day beautiful, you know. But I do understand your point. I do understand your point. Like there's got to be a reason that we need to focus more on building, because it's a game we're playing in this world. It's a game. You need it is a point system in effect. If you've got money or not, and the people with the money can do better if they choose to do better, or be bad if they choose to be bad. What in terms of your travel? So you're obviously in Derby just now in England, but you travel about a lot. Where have you been? So you're from the US, been to Pakistan, Saudi. Where else?
Yeah, so Scotland now is the 13th country I've been in.
Nice.
But most times it was living in places. So US, Canada, Poland, Netherlands, Turkey, Spain, Gibraltar, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, UAE.
Really?
Those are the places I've lived for a 2-month or longer period.
True. What's the top of the pile? What's the best?
In best in terms of how it shaped me,
Right.
Pakistan had the most impact on me in my future life. where I'm headed, right? So Pakistan would be number one. In terms of places I liked the most, it was Turkey. So beautiful. I'm a huge person for like beauty, nature, landscapes, and where we were staying in Turkey was just the most beautiful place I've ever seen in the world.
Where was it?
Antalya.
Oh yeah, Antalya's beautiful. Yeah, nice. Food's the best as well. I'm a big fan of Turkish food.
Can't complain.
Turkish people as well. Turkey's cool. I've not really I've been to Istanbul and I've been to Antalya as well, so I want to spend a bit more time there. And so Derby, it's not the glitz and glamour of like Pakistan and Turkey and Saudi and stuff like that. What are you doing there? What are you up to there?
The saying is, all roads lead to Derby. We're putting Derby on the map. Derby, UK. It's where it's at. I'm telling you, Derby's going to be the new Dubai.
Right?
That's what I've been saying. So, I don't particularly like Derby, right? I don't particularly like the place. And the first 4 months I was there, I actually felt like I was an eagle soaring who just got my wings clipped. Right? So I was running my own sales company, traveling around the globe, right, making good money. It's like, oh, this guy. And then I started working in an office in the middle of the universe, Derby, right? And at first, it was my mentor was like, this is a smart decision, right? He's way more successful than me. I'll take his advice. I couldn't see it. I was like, what is going on here? Well, why do I need to do this? Why do I need to do this? This is horrible. But now we go through phases in life, I believe, right? And I had that phase of traveling around, seeing everything, going to a bunch of events. And I've now kind of entered a skill phase where I'm really focused on getting good at skills, right? It's been marketing specifically. I'm just hyper-focused on getting good at marketing. And Derby's allowed me to just focus without distractions. There's nothing you can do in Derby besides go to the gym, the mosque, and the office. There's nothing else, right? There's literally no distractions. And I like that because it allows me to get the work I need to get done. Now, maybe I'm just using that perspective to turn a place that I don't like living into a positive, but if I am, that's still good, right? Because a lot of people don't like the place. A lot of people don't like it. But I'm here. I'm going to be there for probably the next 2-3 years. So I might as well make the most out of it. And I get to enjoy that phase, right? My days are very structured. 7 days a week, I live the exact same day. It's very productive, right? And I think that's good. It's like some people, instead of focusing on, oh, I'm in a place I don't want to be in, I don't like this, focus on, okay, you're here. Can you change that? Yes or no? If you can't change that, focus on all of the positives that you get from being in that situation. Because for me, I can't change it. I could. If I didn't want to, I would. But I think it's the right chess moves for me to be involved in the company I'm involved with in there. And that's where our company's based. So I'm willing to make the sacrifices of not being in Dubai for what I think is a potential higher ROI.
Intelligent. That's you focusing on your future because the business opportunity's there. And a lot of people would say, no, well, you need to go to Dubai for business opportunities. We've got the opportunity. You've got a golden opportunity there already. And it's almost like a bit of solitude, isn't it? Like you're away from the mad travelling and whatever in Derby. See what you said there? It's like work, gym, mosque. That's the way I'm here in Scotland because I don't drink, I don't nothing at all, and I hardly socialise. My socialisation is in the gym, which I just love to do. And I've been about as well. I've travelled, probably been at like 30 plus countries, but I've stayed in a few as well, and was living in Portugal for a bit there in Spain. And I like travelling. I like being around about the world, and I actually liked it that much that I wasn't really into living in Scotland for a while because I wanted to obviously experience the world, and that was my phase. But now, like, honestly, even recently, just because I've been back for like 9 months. Obviously, I was in prison. Like, my situation made me come back. I've just loved being in Scotland the last few months. Like, really, I didn't get right. I've always been patriotic, but I'm super patriotic now. Like, and I'm taking advantage of. I'm going to take you to the Loch Lomond, amazing part of Scotland. So I'll just tell you about the history about it. There's like this famous song, "The Bonny Banks of Loch Lomond." Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
It's like almost a nursery rhyme like, when you listen. It's a traditional Scottish song, and it's a famous battle happening between Scotland and England because we hate the English and they hate us, right? And these two Scottish fighters are speaking, and one of them says, "You're going to go to Scotland via the high road, and you're going to go to, well, the other one says, I'm going to go through Scotland via the low road, which is like the spirit world. And the reason I'm going to take you there, and the reason I go there myself, it means a lot to me, like that part. My dad said to me when I was a young boy that story, so it just makes me feel proud of being Scottish, you know what I mean? And the whole thing that I just tried to say out there was like, I'm feeling happy here and I'm feeling quite content here, and I've never ever felt settled and never felt content in Scotland in my life. And for you in Derby, man, you could be 25 years there and get a wife from Derby, do you know what I mean? And it is a beautiful thing, man. But that small thing is the reason I'm liking it here is it's gym, it's work, and it's praying, and nothing else. And that's so fulfilling for me. It's mad you said that, because I've not really thought of it like that until you said that there.
Yeah.
It's almost like Dagestan, like they just say like we're just training, and that's the kind of way it is. But how much better do they perform in their given field when they've not got these outer distractions? So I was thinking about moving to Dubai recently. Like, it's still kind of in my head or whatever, but it's hard because I need to obviously plan and get 3 children to move to schools and get my wife set up and all that kind of stuff, and whatever, set up a business myself. But the distractions in Dubai could be a bit overwhelming and maybe take you away from the focus and the work, the inner work or the outer work that you're doing. Do you know what I mean? What do you think of that? Like, could distractions be actually a limitation to your progress?
Yeah, well, I think it'd go back to my previous point on cycles of life, right? I think we go through cycles. So maybe you'll be here for another year and a half, and that's kind of back, the very structured, the very maybe soulful would be a good word, of that cycle of your life. And then maybe you go to Dubai for 3-4 years, and it's a different cycle where it's more time with your family, going out and doing stuff, more time with your guys, more time networking, more time at events. And then maybe 5 years later, it's a different cycle. So I'm a big believer in, I'll use the work-life balance. I'm a big believer in work-life balance in terms of years of life, right? So I get a lot of times people are like, you got to go live, like you got to go experience things. What are you doing? Well, in the most humble way I can possibly say it, I've done more than most 40-year-olds have done in the last 2 years. Yeah. And now where I am is I want to work 16 hours a day, 7 days a week for this cycle. And I know in 5 years, I'll probably not be doing that. And I'll probably be in a totally different situation, in maybe a different place. Maybe I'll have kids, maybe I'll have a wife, maybe I'll be more relaxed, but it'll be cycles, right? So instead of me always trying to have that perfect balance of, okay, I want to spend some time with people, I want to go network, go to events, go to the gym, you get spread too thin, in my opinion. It doesn't allow you to focus. So it comes down to priorities, in my opinion. What is most important to you? And for me, what's most important to me right now is making sure when I'm 35 years old, 45 years old, 50 years old, I've got taken care of what I need to get taken care of, right? So if I have to have no work-life balance right now, that's fine, right? But it's what cycle of life are you in right now?
You're going to massively reap the benefits from 16-hour days, 7 days a week in Derby with no distractions, I can imagine, God willing. So what is your business? Do you want to go into what you do?
So I previously ran the sales company. We had a 14-person sales company. It was doing pretty well. And I shut that down for a new opportunity with my mentor. He owns a supplement company, donotage.org. It's insane. I didn't believe it. I thought it was snake oil when I first looked into it. But pretty much what we do is we sell supplements we make them all 100% natural, that slow the aging process. It's a really fascinating thing. There's certain genes in our body that the older we get, the more torn down they get. And certain supplements can protect those genes and make you live longer. So my mentor, Alan, he's completely convinced he'll live to 200 years old.
250?
Yeah, it's insane. And the science we have actually backs it. Like, it's really crazy. He's done a biological age test kit where you test how old your cells are, okay? So we have chronological age and biological age. Chronological age is you've been on the planet 35 years. Biological age is how have your cells aged, right? So if you drink a bunch, your cells will age quicker. If you never work out, your cells will age quicker. So you being very active is like the best thing that you can do for your longevity. He was 42 years old biologically when he was 28 because he did a lot of drugs, drank a lot. He's now 34 chronological age and his biological age is 28. Wow. So he's gotten younger. His cells have gotten younger. So that's what we do, and we help people with that. I take our products, and I am the marketer for that company. So I do the email marketing, I do the SMS marketing, and we don't actually like the word marketing because we don't believe in marketing. We don't run sales, we don't run promotions, because we're not really a supplement company. We're a health research organization, right? The majority of what our company is investing in research, investing in science. It's super fascinating. It's really interesting stuff. So my job there is to take the really fancy science stuff that's super hard to understand, make it easy for everyday people to understand, communicate it to the mass public. Because what we're doing 100% changes people's lives. It's so crazy. So for me as a marketer, my job is how can I get people to understand that? Because it is confusing. Like NAD, senescent cells. It's like, what do those things mean, right? And so I run our social media pages, every bit of branding and marketing I do for that company.
I'm going to ask you about what you do in a minute, but just quickly, the supplement company, is it a very high price point, or where is it in the world for people to access? Is it accessible to the full world?
Anybody who is on a regular okay salary could afford to get a lot of the supplements. Obviously, they're more expensive. So NMN, which is if you're going to take one supplement to help you age healthier, it's NMN. That'll cost you about 70 quid a month to take NMN. Wow. And it is by far the biggest one. So Alan, for example, luckily he owns the company, so it's not too much for him, but he probably takes like $2,000 a month worth of supplements.
What?
So you bring up a good point, because if you want to do what he's doing and you want to live really long and live really healthy, well, the average person can't spend $2,000. So we're actually in the process of making an all-in-one product where it's all of the major ingredients in one sachet that you can take every single day. It'll be $200 a month. Price point's not 100% confirmed, but about there. And it'll give you everything you need. So you would never need to buy any other supplement. And if you take that supplement, you are 100% going to be healthier. Obviously, it's a supplement to supplement your diet and your exercise and your relationships. But then the price point will be anybody who really wants to be healthy can afford that.
Your relationships, that was good that you added that in there. A lot of guys at 20 won't realise this, but having a bad relationship with a partner or whatever can kill your age, can lower your life expectancy really easily. Right, so what's your role then? Social media, marketing. I had a conversation with you last night and you're just blowing my mind. I'm not the most technical guy in the world, but some of the stuff you were saying was really deep, man. So what is it you actually do, like, in terms of the marketing, if you get...
Yeah, so if we're going to break it down to the basic level, I run organic marketing on social media. So get people from social media to our website, right? We post 3 videos a day across multiple channels. I run the founder's personal brand to also help the company's image. So I post videos for him. I do our SMS marketing. So people sign up to our SMS list to get information from us. I send them about 2 SMS messages a week. I do our email marketing. So we send about 5 emails a week about studies. It's really a newsletter. Like we never promote anything. It's super fantastic. So I'll go find new studies. There was this recent new study about one of our ingredients called quercetin, which they tested it in rats where they tore the rat's ligament and they put half of them and just tore it and then repaired it. And then half of them tore it, repaired it, and then gave them quercetin. And the rats that took quercetin, their tendons healed way faster, were way stronger. So we're getting a lot of scientific stuff that shows quercetin can also help with your tendons. So then what I do is I take that fancy study, break it down, explain it, send it to our email, and then say, if you want to buy quercetin, you can buy it here. And then every other thing marketing-wise, so funnels, like sales funnels, I'll help build us sales funnels, which is pretty much just, in a nutshell, how do you convince someone to buy something? Yeah.
Cool. Really cool. And your own personal brand, that obviously you've put a lot of work into that marketing-wise. I remember looking at, I think I met you in 2023, so you didn't really have much of a social media presence then at all. And then I think it was like 2000, like last year, about May, June, I looked at your profile and you were starting to work on it. And then look at you, you've like 10x that or whatever. How much have you done in the last year or so?
So I've taken my social media following from 3,000 followers in September 2024 to right now, 6.5 months later, to 380,000 followers in, yes, about 6 months.
So you're 100x.
Yeah. And it's my first time doing personal branding. So I had run a business page previously for my first company, the Prison Art Company. And, I had 6,000, 8,000 followers there and was promoting stuff. So I've had an understanding of social media for a very long time. Like as a kid, I'd post YouTube videos. This is my first time doing personal branding, and I was able to scale it very quickly. And I think the number one reason that led me to do that was by do something that nobody else is doing. So for example, my avatar of who I am on social media, there's only like 5 of us. There's only like 5 people who are remotely close to who I am, right? And why so many people don't grow on social media is because they just fall right into the crowd. Wow. They're just like everybody else, right? So for example, a lot of the G's, a lot of the war room guys, they're all starting to want to build their personal brands, and they're all kind of just wanting to be like G's and how to be successful, how to make money. But all they're doing is they're all just saying the same stuff. And it's like, why would I listen to you? Because there's someone more successful than you who I could get the advice from. So let's take business, for example. I can give good business advice. I have good receipts. I've got proven like I've done X, Y, Z. But there are way more people who know way more than me in business who would be a way better person to learn from, right? So would I be able to grow my page by just talking about business? Most likely not, because I just fall into the void, okay? Now, maybe Islamic content. What if I spend all my time just posting Islamic content? Okay, yes, that's already better than the business side. But also, if I was going to try to give information about Islam, well, do I have a good understanding? Yeah, but not even close to where I could give advice on Islam. So once again, if I did that, I wouldn't grow. So I had to find this niche to say, or this fine line of who do I need to be that people will want to follow, right? Why would someone want to follow you? And then it becomes a lot easier to grow. And being unique helps, right? Being a 20-year-old white Muslim revert who's been relatively successful in business already sets me apart dramatically. So I just had to hit that hard and make that very clear. And then that was what helped me grow.
And can you get into like specifics of how much you're posting and what kind of angles you're posting with? Obviously, people look at your content and see this, but if you can explain that a wee bit in detail.
So I've tried a lot of different strategies when it comes to social media. Right now, I post 3 to 6 videos a day on Instagram every single day, and I post 3 videos a day on TikTok. So what I'll do is I will batch record a month's worth of content in one day, and then I schedule out 15 days in advance. So every 3 days, I'll schedule like 15 more videos. Makes it very time efficient when you schedule things. So 3 videos a day. And I was doing 1 long form video a day on YouTube as well, but I've stopped that because I'm more focusing on just short form content. And then just rinsing and repeating the content that does good. So this is, if I'm going to break down my strategy that anybody could use for social media in a nutshell, this is what it would be. Come up with 20 ideas of a video concept that you could make, okay? Then make 5 variations of each 20 videos. That's going to give you 100 videos. Post those 100 videos. Take the top 10 videos that did the best and make 10 variations of that top 10. Rinse and repeat until the algorithm tells you what videos they want, and then just keep making videos around that similar niche. For example, my winning videos that have performed the best on TikTok and Instagram, I have remade a variation of them more than 10 times. And they always perform well. So like every 2 months, I'll make another variation of that same video, right? Because the algorithm, which the algorithm's people, right? It's what people want. They're going to tell you what they want. So if the content's not doing good, the only reason it's not doing good is because it wasn't a good piece of content, right? If it's good, it'll grow. And you just, in my opinion, this is my philosophy, some people disagree, you just have to post more and see what works. The data will show you what's best, right? For example, I was posting kind of a little bit of Islamic content, a little bit of business, and then I had one video that started it all, which is, why did I become a Muslim? 650,000 views, gave me 10,000 followers, and I was like, okay, people want to hear this. So I went straight on that. And then that's what took me, from 3,000 to 50,000 in like 4 months. because that's what people want to hear. You got to find what people want to hear and then just do it.
This was September you started this?
Yeah, but September 8th is when I started.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's super cool. I'm obviously trying to build it as well, but no, is there a systematic way that you're doing that? What I like about you is you're authentic. You know, you've got a plan in what you're doing, right? But it doesn't disengage the fact that you're just being you. And I think I've got a problem with people copying each other on social media. I think it's so cringy and embarrassing. And fighters, like actual fighters, competitive fighters, they've got their own brand anyway. They don't really need to do that. But like fight coaching or mindset coaching or kind of the other part of my business that I do online, a lot of them just copy each other, and it's so hard to, it's hard to compete. It's hard to like do well in that space because people just eventually get turned off when they think somebody's trying to sell them something online, like a social, a fitness program or like a discipline program is what I do. But what I find helps me is just being totally authentic, engage with as many people as you can, and I treat it more just like a personal page as well. Do you know what I mean? But I'm trying to. So you're saying you prefer shorter form content? I'm trying to go more longer form content. I've made a few vlogs and stuff like that, and I actually really enjoy it. I really enjoy it. But what's the reason between you picking short over long?
Long form content is better. If someone wanted to get the highest ROI, long form content is the best. If you learn it and if you can get good at it, it'll build you a better audience. Short form content audiences are always going to be worse. For me, it was a weighing my time. It was a weighing my time, weighing where can I spend my time? And I can make a lot of short form content and build an audience very quickly. It was very low effort, right? I do not believe in editing. I do not believe in fancy stuff. I'll be in like a hoodie, laying in bed, filming my videos. So it takes no effort. For YouTube videos, for me to make a good YouTube video, I got to put effort into it. I got to put time into it. And social media right now is not my number one priority. It's the company I'm with right now. And I was noticing I was starting to post YouTube videos that were okay. And I didn't like that because I felt like I was building the wrong audience and they were doing fine. Like I get 1,000 views, 500 views, 300 views, whatever it is. But I just had to weigh, okay, if I want to make this really good, I have to change my priorities. So I'm in the process of changing. I might start posting long form content again. I might just change it because I was doing one a day, which was too many. But it boiled down to the simplest thing. It was priorities. And that was the one that had to get cut.
One a day on YouTube is too many, do you think? You can overdo it? Because that's obviously a different resource, a different way you're doing it on Instagram.
If you can maintain it and make it look good. So I was doing reaction content for a little bit. I was like watching Islamic content and reacting to it. And that was performing really good. I post one a day that get 1,000 to 2,000 views, long form content, which is solid. But then I switched it up and wanted to kind of tell stories and more. And it kind of dwindled a little bit. Then I noticed I'd miss a day and things were getting thrown off a little bit. So I, with my current schedule, have not been able to maintain one a day. So when I will go back to long form, when I do, I'm going to set a very clear structure to probably do one a week, 2 a week. I want to make the video really good. Because I was getting to where I'd get to the end of the day and I said I'd film a video, so I'll film a video, but it wasn't a good video. And I was only posting it because I said I'll post one video a day. So then I was compromising on what the value I felt I could provide to the audience was, just so I could hold my word to myself. So okay, I'm just going to draw the line, not going to do it. I'll post higher quality when I can.
And do you not think 6 a day, obviously the algorithm says differently, but 6 a day is a lot. Like if I'm watching somebody getting popped up all the time, I don't know if I would get annoyed at that or not. I've not really seen much of that, to be honest with you.
So where my philosophy of 3 to 6 a day comes from is when you're posting on social media, your video only actually reaches a very small percentage of your followers, and then it reaches a lot of non-followers. So if I post 6 videos a day, the chance that someone sees 2 of my videos in one day is actually really low. So all I'm doing is just reaching more of my audience. For example, you probably follow someone on social media who posts daily who you haven't seen one of their videos in weeks because they're just not showing it to you. So when I post so many times a day, I'm reaching all different parts of my audience but I'm not overlapping on everybody. But it is a fine balance, right? That's why I don't do 6 every single day. I've done 6 every single day for sometimes, and I do notice a fatigue in views. So I try to balance 3 to 6. But I notice if you check the analytics of your videos, you never overlap. You know, you reach 13% of your followers, 20% of your followers, and then it's 80% new people.
And you've got still an upward trajectory all through this, even still?
Yeah, I move really steady, about on average 250 followers gained a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
It's a consistency. The more you post, the more you'll grow. It's as simple as that. So there's a guy on Instagram called Brock Johnson. He gives really good Instagram advice. And if you boil it down to the simplest thing, if you post more videos, you will grow more.
Yeah, makes sense. And you don't believe in editing, you don't believe in captions, you don't believe in
I believe in captions, but I don't believe in editing.
all captions all the time, every time?
I don't put captions on TikTok videos because TikTok puts auto captions that most people can read, but I put captions on Instagram. And you should put captions on your videos because 43% of people are on social media with their volume off.
All right. Yeah, I was doing it for a while, then I just stopped. And my videos started performing better without captions, but I don't know if that's just the market I was giving it to or whatever. I think people struggle to understand me. That's a big problem. I'm kind of slowing my accent down just now, but a lot of people can struggle to understand me. Yeah, I'll get back on the captions, in fact. So, what's the future? What does the future hold for Canyon Mimbs?
Future for Canyon Mimbs looks like 5x the company's revenue in the next 5 years, sell it, everybody in the company gets an exit, and then I look towards starting a family. That's the immediate 5 years. So my parents own a property back in the US. One of my goals is to buy the property. It's pretty expensive, and I want to build pretty much a compound there. So we have one pretty massive house. My brother's in the process of building a house there. There's a cabin on the property. There's a yurt. So there's already 4 buildings. So I want to build like a shooting range there. I want to build a tree house for my children, build a mosque on the land. It's 20 acres of land. And then really focus on helping other people and family. So the next 5 years is business, becoming the best person I can possibly be, building as many skills as I can. And then I'm really aiming, I want to have my first kid before I'm 25 years old. Kid's really important to me. I'm the last person in my lineage that can pass my genes on. So I very much want to have children. And, you know, I feel like I do my ancestors a disservice by not, because I in feet and inches, I'm 6'5", father 6'4", grandfather 6'7", great grandfather 6'7". Like it's all the way, yeah, so it's all the way back. So it's like if I don't have kids, I'm doing the genes a disservice. So family will become a big priority. And something I've been wanting to work on a lot recently is not chasing an exterior thing that I can show that I'm successful, right? So not chasing where I can look at my bank account and go, okay, there's that many digits there. Or I can look at my social media, I've got that many followers. Because I've been chasing those metrics for a while, which when you're kind of aimless can be good metrics to aim for, right? But I want to get to more where I felt like I've mastered myself, right? With the discipline, with the energy, with my balance, with my emotion. That's what's really important for me in the next 5 years. Where it's not like, if I want to show someone how much I've accomplished myself, it's not that I can show them, here, look at these numbers. I can just know in myself, I'm very confident in myself, I'm very structured, I'm very disciplined, I have high emotional intelligence. I really want to aim on those things.
So you got to build a character that people can resonate with and see that you're successful without the money.
Exactly.
That's exactly what I've been doing the last year or so. The last year, to be honest with you, I built that in prison. Like, I worked on that a lot.
And it comes off in your energy. And so Tom and I were just talking, context, Tom is another person we were meeting up with. And immediately we have to go out of the car after our dinner. We were talking about your energy. So I'm a big person with like energy. People have energy and you can kind of sense out their character. And it's really obvious if anybody's going to meet you that you're very, I'll use solace as the word, right? You're very in tune with who you are, right? Like if someone comes around and tries to tell you, Brian, this is who you are, this is who you should be, like that's not going to change the type of person you are. You know who you are, you know who you want to be. It's very obvious and it comes off in your energy and it makes it actually someone that you want to spend time with. It makes it someone who's very confident in themselves. So that's something I aim for, is I want to get to that level, which I have some, but I have a lot more to do, to where I can have that energy where it's like, this person is themselves. They're not trying to prove to you who they are. They're not trying to prove to the world who they are. They're themselves. They like themselves. They're confident in themselves. They know what they need to do. And they're not being motivated by other people, exterior factors.
I appreciate that, thanks. So how do you work on that though? How do you think you would work on that? Because I think I was in prison and I had to work on that and whatever, but how do you think that will happen for you?
What I'm trying, you can give me your 2 cents on it, is a lot of things just in terms of discipline and almost like a calmness of the mind, right? A lot more reading without distractions. A lot more just like going to the gym, only focused on the gym. A lot more critically thinking about what's important to me, right? How many people sit down actively and go, what is actually important to me? I know so many people who chase money and chase success, but they haven't actually sat down and gone, do I actually want money? So what I've done in the last 8 months is I've really sat down, I've evaluated, what do I want? When I'm 50 years old, where do I want to be and look like, okay, I'm happy with this, right? Because in my youth, I've met really as high on the totem pole as you can get for like successful entrepreneurs, right? Without getting to like elites. So I saw a lot of people who were incredibly financially successful. And then I've spent a lot of time with a lot of people who are incredibly Islamic. So those are my kind of two things. But what's interesting is my father's life, if I had to like take someone's life and like live where they are at their age, I'd rather have his life than most all of these really successful people I've met. So I've had to sit down and evaluate, okay, like, do I want to have $5 million, the Lambo and the Rolex and live in Dubai? Or do I want to have like a really good family, children that I respect, a job that's good, a lot of adventures and a lot of skills? So I've had to evaluate, okay, what is more important to me? And that is more important to me than a bunch of money, right? And I think that is how I get to that. Being in tune with my character is just knowing who I am and what I want to do. I don't think people critically think about that. I think they just live life, they blink, they wake up, they're 60 years old and they're like, what happened? Right?
Can I change it and rewind and start
Yeah,
again?
exactly, right?
They regret it. So for your age to say that you want children, like, so I had a family quite young. I was 25, my wife was 19. Or, right, that was about the age, 25, 19. So it's difficult at that age, or it's been difficult to like start a new entrepreneurial endeavour because you're tied. So say you said that I'm in this moment in Scotland, and then I could maybe go to Dubai for 3. That's hard for me, mate. You know what I mean? And I've actually done that. I've actually took my family to Spain, took my family to Portugal, and whatever, and obviously just try to give them the best life possible. But a lot of guys, even at my age, they're too scared to commit to a relationship with family and stuff like that. Even you spoke about like people try to be G's or whatever. A lot of them are in the past or maybe said that the family dynamic is not a good thing. The family man is not a good thing. Let's have multiple girls and multiple this and multiple that. Obviously, try to be like Andrew Tate, for example, which it works for Andrew Tate because he is him and that's his relative journey and he does it fantastic. But being round about that, people saying that kind of stuff, made me really realise how important it is to be a family man. I've got 3 beautiful kids. I've got a smoking hot wife that is the best mother of kids that you could ever have. And you spent some time with my son, who's 3 years old. But my son, I can talk to my son, like have a conversation with him. Like he's not that baby to me. Do you understand what I mean? I can sit and have fun with him and shoot the shit with him. And I think that's wealth. That's what I was trying to say earlier on. That is wealth. That is the ultimate wealth to me. So you're obviously chasing money because you're a very intelligent man. So you're going to have to put that to good use. You've also said that's going to help your Islamic goals and concepts for the full world, the Islamic world. But if you're chasing family, mate, you're already a Lambo. 5 million is insignificant. when you've got that big, I can imagine you've got to buy that big compound and create it and all different things and stuff like that, a mosque. I think that's really noble for a young guy to say that. And I'm really impressed with that, man, to be honest with you.
Thank you.
Really impressed with that. Aye, cool. So, mate, that's a good podcast, man. I really enjoyed that, bro. Anything else you want to say?
Thank you for having me on. It's a really good conversation.
We'll go and enjoy the Bonnie Banks a lot.
I'll wrap up on a point. That when you surround yourself with people like you, it helps young men know what's important. So I got to see Brian's son yesterday. And when I watch how you and your son interact, I see that is way more important to me than having $5 million in the bank, right? Like when he wanted to go give everyone a hug before we left. It's like, and you know, if you don't surround yourself with people who are like yourself or people who are on different paths, you never get that perspective. You never get to see what's more important. So thank you for giving me the opportunity
Appreciate that, bro.